Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. I have my co-host Haleigh Overseth here. Hi,
Hello,
Haleigh. How
everyone. Hey,
how
hey.
how you doing, honey?
I'm so excited to be here as always. And I'm so excited for us to meet Caroline. She
Yes,
just is, look at how effortless God is
I
making
know
she is.
she
Thank you.
is.
Thank
She
you
is
very much.
looking so peaceful and just oozing with that peace and love and tranquility.
Oh, I
I
love it. That good
appreciate
God
that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Caroline, how are you today? And let's get to know you. Let's get our
I'm doing
audience.
wonderful, Glenda. Thank you, Haleigh, for being our host as well. I am having a wonderful day. I'm having a very good day preparing for Thanksgiving. I
Mhm.
really am gracious to be allowed to be on this program, to introduce myself in the first way in a live program to the public so that others will be able to become actualized in the way that they live their lives. I am I am simply one that has completed the journey, as others call it, being actualized, being enlightened. So I'm one that is simply what others know as an enlightened one.
Mhm.
And I live my life in divine grace. It means that my life is in submission to divine grace. It means that I'm one that is here to help to clear collective consciousness, help to reduce the density, especially the density of fear, sadness, things that cause people to not function well in life. My pathway took me here, and I'm very gracious that I'm here. I'm very gracious to both of you for allowing me to tune in with you so that together we can do something special. Together we can move the needle a little bit more so that others would know what it takes to have the next step and then the next step and the next step on the journey. The journey of self actualization is what we are called for as we come to this earth, as we live our lives. We live our lives and we're called in a new way to follow our inner goodness. To follow that inner goodness, it simply means to follow our brightest light. To follow our brightest light means we're in communion in a coherent way, in a very clear and precise way. It's not always precise, but our communication with the one that we are, knowing who we are, in principle with divine grace. That is what we are called, to live a life in divine grace so that we can clear the pathway, so that we can live a life of integrity, a life of dignity. So that is what I'm helping others to realize and recognize. This is not entirely new to me. I've completed my journey with the mind in 2019, but there were some hiccups in that journey. I started my journey 10, 11 years ago, where I had a spontaneous awakening that triggered spontaneous healing of my body.
Oh,
So
that's
that
amazing.
this,
That is really
yeah,
cool.
I did have a spontaneous. It was rapturous in the way it happened. I was allowed to just tap my heart chakra, my crown, all the nodal points on my body. And during that particular time, I knew at the level of the mind that this is what was happening. And I allowed that to flow with ease and grace. And that continued for about 4 years, where I would just allow myself to be in a soft way and allow healing to happen naturally. It just happened naturally. And my hands just flowed with ease and grace. And I would lie comfortable or I would sit comfortable, sometimes with soft music. That was a love frequency. And sometimes without, sometimes just in silence, I would just sit and allow the mind not to be there so much and allow myself to be in tune with my own inner goodness. So when I was in tune with my own inner goodness, it allowed my body to be more clearly and coherently correct the patterns that were negative in my life. So I was able to do that alone without a teacher, but that doesn't take away that I did have books that I read along the way. Eckhart Tolle was one of those that helped me with his books.
Mhm. Very
Deepak
good.
Chopra helped also, Wayne Ryer. Those were like three people. And I did look at a few videos on YouTube that helped me along, but not too much triggered by what was there, but my own inner goodness is what I followed. I followed that daily, exclusively daily for about 4 years.
Mm.
I love, this is such an interesting thing to me because I love the way that you frame it, that you say my inner
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
It
A
is
lot
my
of
inner
times,
goodness, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, well, I love that. That, a lot of times we refer to that as, your inner being, your intuition, right? But your inner goodness, as in the part of you that always wants good for you and for everyone,
Exactly.
right?
Good
Mm-hmm.
for
And
me
I
and
just,
good for others. It
Yes.
is flowing a lot with compassion, having compassion for others, being
Mm-hmm.
generous, being gracious. That really, really helped me.
Wow. That's beautiful. That is
that's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
beautiful. It is.
It
I
is.
love it. Can you
It's
talk
giving
in
me
a little
chills.
bit? I know, like, just
What?
can you talk a little bit then about, sometimes when people have these kinds of spiritual awakenings, right? And if they are things that are more sort of like a sudden one, right? Rather than the gradual sort of process a lot of people go through, is there, I think a lot of people maybe sometimes don't give themselves credit for where they get to from where they were when it is a
Right,
gradual process.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
right.
sometimes difficult when you
The,
don't have
the
someone
journey actually starts once you get to know yourself. And my journey took me to many places because I worked for the United Nations, and
Mm.
I had the goodness of flowing with the United Nations for about 19 years. So I lived
oh
in
wow.
beautiful places. I had the distinction of holding very good jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
during that time, I allow myself to take care of myself well, to pamper myself, to have massages, to spend a lot of quality time, to sit in meditation, to relax when I don't have to work, to read a lot, to listen
Mm-hmm.
to inner goodness, to be good to myself and others.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I
I
love it.
love that. That is beautiful. And so now I did want to get into some of your books too. But I kind of want to get a little bit of your journey if we can. So like you worked for the
Right.
United Nations. Was it that you did for the United Nations? And can you maybe talk a little bit about how some of maybe that experience might have informed where you are now or helped you to get to that spiritual awakening place?
I did have a job as a communication specialist with the United Nations. Mostly,
Nice.
I flowed as a communication specialist. So during that time, I traveled to many countries. I spent about 5, then another 6 months or so in Africa. About 6 years in Africa, I did from different countries. I was in South Sudan, but I traveled extensively in Africa. I worked in Zambia and I did work in Sierra Leone. So I was in West Africa, I was in Central Africa, South Africa, and then I was in East Africa.
Mm.
I did travel and work in Bangladesh, in
Mm-hmm.
Nepal. I was in East Timor. I was in Iraq, Baghdad in particular. I worked in Belize. So these were some of the countries that I had to travel to and work with the United Nations. And during those times, I would go to other countries as well: Thailand, Malaysia, India. I did live in India for 2 years as well. So I
Wow.
lived in South
Yes.
America before, and then I moved to Canada for about 12 years. But during the time that I lived in Canada, I was working with the United Nations. So I was mostly out on assignments.
Mm.
So during those times that I was with United Nations, I was actualizing myself by allowing myself to be more integrated with the cultures, with the tradition, with the food.
Mm.
Those were actually very good ley lines of the earth that helped me to my inner goodness to be more consecrated in what the Sumerian culture in Iraq. That is
Mm.
where civilization began. And
Yes.
when I was in Africa, when I was in India, in Bangladesh, and Nepal, these are like critical ley lines of Mother Earth. So when I was able to live
Mm-hmm.
there, I was able to live in Central America, in South America, so North America. So pretty much I was in Australia. I spent some time in Australia. So pretty much most of the places that we have integral ley lines of the earth, I was able to live. And I consider that very gracious to be able to live my life in that way and then to actualize in a very sufficient way.
Yes, that
That
is
is,
beautiful because you integrated yourself with the cultures. So you picked
Exactly.
up,
Language and culture was there.
right. So you were able to really get to know the real culture, not just what we see on TV or what they
Exactly,
tell us in
exactly,
books,
exactly. South Sudan,
so
especially, was very difficult because it's very, very sparse. It's very dense. There is extreme poverty there.
mm,
The life is extremely difficult. Difficult. It was a war zone for 25 years. So
mm,
there's no proper buildings. It's just mud huts basically around. So we had to be in encampment with the UN and live there for some time. So that really humbled me. Living in India, in the most densest part of these places, like taught me humility. So it taught
mhm,
me to be humble, to appreciate where I am, to appreciate where I came from. I came from a humble beginning. I was an orphan. I grew up as an orphan. My mother died before I was 2. My father
mm,
died by the time I was 6. So my childhood was complex in the way I understand my place in this world, not having parents. But that is why I have so much grace. That is why I was able to actualize myself alone mostly and do it with integrity.
that's very important,
that's
very commendable.
yeah, but that is amazing. I mean, so
Yes.
you, I mean, kind of early on in life, learned to be on your own and sort of experiencing life on your own a little bit. And so from
Yeah,
the childhood that you had and being able to kind of integrate, so you already as a child sort of learned on your own what's my process for integrating information as I receive it, and then you got to travel the world and integrate all those cultures, all
yeah,
those
Mm,
exactly that, Haley, exactly that. Because when you don't have your mother, especially to love you, it takes away from who you are. Your place in this world is difficult to maneuver without knowing, in particular, without knowing who your mother is, without having that love flow to you.
mm,
Mhm.
very true. Very true.
Well, but it did give you an opportunity to connect to Mother Earth in a different way, right? Like
To
this.
connect
So,
with my own inner goodness, which is what Mother Earth wants us to do.
Mm-hmm.
can you talk a little bit more about that then? Because you do have, again, we talked a little bit before the podcast on,
Right.
the books that you've written, and one of them is about resonating with Mother Earth and talking about, again, the oceans and the value of like the water on Earth. That is why we have life on Earth. So if you could talk maybe
Exactly,
a little
Haley,
bit about
exactly.
that.
Well, my book that is called Essence of Time in Resonance with Mother Earth was really a reflection of our own pathway in life where we are connected intricately with what Mother Earth is. The Earth
Mm,
as a sphere of reference is connecting us to our own inner goodness. The Earth, we come from different planetary bodies as light beings,
mm-hmm.
encapsulating a body on the Earth to especially become more integral in what we're doing. As we come to this earth as light encoded bodies, our intelligence flow in space and time. And when we become enlightened, we're able to trigger that inner awakening to become one with all that is. The inner knowing allows us to be more compassionate, to release any judgment that we might have had on others, to become more considerate of what others might have suffered, to know that suffering comes when people do not understand themselves, to know that as we rise above the challenges in life, we are given dignity. So it's dignity that I'm bringing back. Harmony, dignity, having our place in this world where we strive for higher ideals and we rise above the things and we become victorious. We become much more victorious. And this is integral to what we are here to do. We are actualizing our bodies so that we can flow with ease and grace, knowing that as we flow with ease and grace, it is helping others to find themselves as well. We're flowing with the mind. I explain in my book, in my first, my second, my third book, the mind is what I call a receptacle for holding intelligence, but it is not the only intelligence that is there. We're always connected in the divine with the gifts that we hold. Our gifts are mostly we come to heal, to channel our own inner goodness so that we can heal suffering, heal sadness, heal pain, allow others to flow with integrity. That is why we're here.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I do love
Thank
the
you.
Oof.
energy of
I
that.
know. It's
Thank you.
oof.
You're
It's just
channeling some good stuff. I do love it.
Thank
breathing
you.
it
I
in,
appreciate it.
and it's settles so nicely, so nicely.
Thank you.
Um,
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about, just for those who might not maybe be as familiar with it watching, when you talk about actualization or actualization of the body, sort of integrating your mind with your reality essentially, right? Can you maybe talk a little bit about what that means and, for those who are maybe looking for that path for themselves for self-actualization, what sort of things would you tell them to do in terms of getting connected with that inner goodness?
The inner goodness is really the part of us that is more the sacrificial things that we're sacrificing, wanting to get to another thing. Sometimes it is love, sometimes it's integrity, sometimes it is the willingness to change. When we're willing to change what we were before, we understand ourselves. This is inner goodness. There's always a compulsion to follow inner goodness. Inner goodness means knowing what is right, focusing on what is right, doing what is right. That is what inner goodness means. Following the right pathway. When we know what is right for us, we eat the right food. We focus on intelligence. We focus on reading, on learning. We focus on reading books that give us inner goodness. We focus on books that help us to actualize. We listen to programs. Now there's Facebook, now there's YouTube, there's Instagram. There are many enlightened ones that are flowing as I scroll. There are many that are enlightened now, and they're trying to project themselves with sufficient wisdom so that millions can be actualized. I'm only one in so many that are actualizing. Even the simplest of person can actualize. Even from the densest place of the prisons, people are actualizing. People are actualizing everywhere. Actualization means realizing that you are connected with what we understand to be God, our own inner light, our own inner goodness. That is what propels us to this place where we are connecting with the divine. The divine is simply our own inner intellect, the intelligence of our body, connecting with pure intelligence in the cosmos. The pure intelligence in the cosmos is flowing in space and time through Mother Earth, through all the galaxies, through all the stargates. Everything is flowing in space and time. So as we connect as intelligent beings of light, we're holding space and time to correct the pathways for others to come, to heal and to clear collective consciousness of density. Too many are dying of many things that can be released, what is called density. Too many are dying of cancer. Cancer is killing by the millions. Cancer is what is killing by the millions simply because of neglect, simply because of greed. These are things that we should recognize that needs to be corrected. Many are dying because of mental health challenges. Millions are triggered on their awakening journey, but they do not have the resources that they need to help them to actualize their bodies. There is just so many levels of wisdom to share about self actualization. But self actualization means turning to your own inner goodness, doing what you know is right for your body, trying to keep your body healthy and whole, allowing yourself to flow with ease and grace, correct things that are not negative, but negative thought forms come from ancestral lineage. Ancestral lineage is what people need to understand. That is correcting pathway. We are connected to the intelligence of the mother and the father, the grandmother, the grandfather, great grandmother, great grandfather. It is taking us to the fourth generation, but then that can actualize to as many generations as is possible. And that is what self actualization means. It is recognizing the pure intelligence or the divinity of the parents, the grandparents, the great grandparents, subtracting the density and then flowing with ease and grace to be self actualized.
Wow. Wow.
That's beautiful. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
there's
Thank you so much.
Oof.
there's just so much in there to unpack
Yeah.
for everyone. There really is, and I think a lot of
I will be
people
happy
probably.
to explain more. In my books, I've written a lot about them, but I continue to write, and I'll be writing a lot more as questions come over. I will
Hmm.
be writing more about the DNA structure, codified, and how our
Ooh.
ancestral lineage is really what blocks the pathway when they don't flow with ease, when they don't flow with grace. The ancestral lineage, it is our own genetic code that is connected there. It is pure intelligence. That is what the genetic code is. That is
Hmm.
what allows us to live with ease and grace. So many are calling it many different names, but our genetic code, that is how we're codified. That is what is flowing in the universe through light. But then the light formation gets condensed with the electrical field of the body, which is connected to the magnetic field of Mother Earth. That is what density is. That is why we are trapped in this sphere of influence on Earth. That is why people are calling it a hologram. That is why it's called a matrix. But that is too
Hmm.
complex for people to understand. What we need to understand is follow our own inner goodness, take care of our bodies, allow ourselves to flow with ease and grace, live with integrity. That is what it means.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I
Oof.
would really love to, because and this is one of your books too, so I'd love to talk more
Yeah.
about the DNA structure and the just sort of, because it is a topic people talk about a lot, healing ancestral wounds or releasing ancestral trauma. And you do have a book where you talk about light being the structure of our cells and DNA
Mm-hmm.
essentially being what actualizes our body. So can you talk a little bit about how that's, again, the connection between your DNA and the infinite intelligence and that light, and how can people, again, we probably overcomplicate it, but what are the things you might tell someone who is trying to release those sort of ancestral DNA informational blockages, you might say, that block the flow of that divine light? What would you suggest to people who are looking to be in a more divine flow and not be attached to those things that they consider to be part of their linear path?
That is simply our ancestral lineage, like our mother and our father. It
Hmm.
simply means that they are encoded with the genome of what is pure intelligence. A lot of people can just Google what the DNA structure is or the strand of the DNA. So it's separated at birth. There is a cut in the umbilical cord, but that cutting of the cord, it doesn't separate us from the intelligence of the mother. The pure intelligence of the mother is always flowing. It's an invisible cord once it's cut. If you want to give it a color, it is blue in color. It is pure. It is truth. It is absolute. So the intelligence of the mother is integral to the child, but the intelligence of the father is equally integral to the development and the growth of the child. So when the parents love the child and they're flowing with ease and grace, it allows that child to actualize. If there is dishonesty, if there is misgivings in the way they treat that child or they treat each other, if the parents don't love each other, if they don't live with it with integrity, and the way they reflect that on the child, sometimes poverty can be one of the main triggers that cause people not to live with integrity. When that happens, it causes the child to be neglected, and that is one
Hmm.
of the things that causes density. When parents do not shower the child with love and help them to process feelings, especially. Feelings are triggered by the electrical field of the body. Feelings want to be understood, and that is how the light can flow better. So, the genetic code that flows with ease and grace, where every single thing that is misunderstood, everything that feels discomforting, things that do not flow well, when we feel confused or frustrated, when we feel pain, when we feel anger, things that cause us to feel anger, especially, is when we cannot process things as a child. And as we grow older, things that trigger anger is feelings that were not processed as a child.
Hmm. I've
So that
seen that.
genetic code is also connected to with the grandparents, with the great grandparents. For a woman, especially, it is the fourth generation that the egg, the intelligence of that egg is flowing to the grandmother, to the mother, to the next one. So that is how I am flowing. So it
Mhm.
is condensing that what is there, the condensation. If they didn't flow well, then there is too much condensation to process. So that is what I'm processing.
Right. I see. I could understand that because I am, as far as I know, there's 8 generations of women on my mother's side. So we go back
Mhm.
completely, and we all have had gifts. We all have had experiences, and we have all been um, integrated or with our divine being. And
Mhm.
so I many times I see my granny 8 generations back in front of me giving me advice,
Wow,
saying,
that is a miracle. That is fantastic.
yeah, so she is coming to me and she's like, okay, I know you're having a moment, just release that energy, and release it and let it go, and you know that everything will be okay, you know that everything is as it's supposed to be, so don't fight it. And
Excellent, excellent, excellent. That is the way to process it.
yes, and
Flow with
so
ease and grace and allow the
exactly,
body to relax. When we
exactly.
allow the body to relax, it is allowing the mind to relax. So that
Hmm.
is how the body is self actualized. That is how it gets to a place where it's correcting the patterns quickly. The mind does not attract negativity anymore. It is correcting it immediately without any discernment. It can
Hmm.
correct it before it happens.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's something that, again, for folks not just in the mental health wellness, but in physical wellness spaces, right? Sort of that, what that is such a value of the meditative state that many of us find difficult to get to because the lives we live are very noisy. But once you get to that stillness place, your cells do have their own intelligence. You don't have to think.
Exactly that.
Yes.
Exactly. Your cells are each one resonating with the frequency of light, and each cell in the body has its own field, but they're all connected. They're all correlating. So for the body to flow, for the intelligence to be integrated, to flow, synchronize and harmonize is a good word. The cellular structure
Mm-hmm.
has to synchronize well so that each organ, each system in the body is a good way to look at it. Each system
Mhm.
can flow with ease and grace, and the organs can flow emphatically in an efficient way. The heart, the
Mm.
lungs, the kidney, everything that is there that is representing a planetary body in the body, because we are a microcosm of what the universe is. Each one of us, we are representing a universe in ourselves. We are just a microcosm of the universe. So as we expand and become enlightened, this expansion takes us in space and time where we are connected with everything and we are one with all. That is what it takes us to. So the wisdom that flows is very coherent. We speak without thinking. The thinking mind is not there anymore.
Mm.
So that is
The thing
grace.
That is beautiful. The thinking mind does trip me up personally a lot. And I think that's something that, again, we live very busy lives. There's a lot of technology. We all have, you know, things that are kind of interrupting our ability to focus, right? But
Mhm.
like you said, there are still a lot of very enlightened people on social media, on
Mhm.
programs like this. There are a lot
Mhm.
of people who
Yes, they
are
are.
trying to get out good messages. It's maybe a little bit a matter of where you kind of direct your attention, right? So
Right.
maybe you can talk a little bit about that kind of element of flow, finding ways to remain connected in as you go through a life living in a world that is very busy, a life that is very, full of a lot of things that we're all very excited about, but can become overwhelmed by or, distracted and bogged down by.
A good target to look at is information and communication technology. The cellular phone in particular, it's a handheld device. It is called a cellular phone because a lot of what is there is representing how our cells are flowing in understanding sound and light vibration. We are all resonating with sound and light. Everything is about sound and light vibration. Everything is about vibration. It's resonating with sound and it's resonating with light. At the cellular level, it's representing with sound and light. So we are projected on the cellular phone now. I'm simply using my cellular phone, and it can take us in space and time, collapsing what is space and time, and bring us as a unit together. So when this was grace given to us with technology to show us how time can be collapsed, how distance especially is collapsed here, so that we're together here as one in divinity, but sometimes the technology that is given to us is misused. If we use the technology to bring harmony, to bring peace, to spread awareness on what self-actualization means, to help others, to ease suffering, to heal, to counsel, to do good things, to lean into our own inner goodness. That is why we have the cell phone, to connect, to see each other, to be gracious with each other. But many are misusing this, the computer and the phone and every gadget that we have. A lot of
Mhm.
time, the young people, especially, they're misusing it. It's overused, too many hours. The useless mind games that are there, that are being created for young people, that are negative in their vibration, that is only actualizing people to function with hate. Is there's a lot of fighting in those games.
Mhm.
Young people are triggered by those fighting that they're doing, and they're acting out from what those games are. Those games are very destructive, and we should refrain from participating in playing those games. The young people, they're starting from too young, and they are spending hours and hours and hours and hours playing mindless things, subtracting from their life force. So that is what I have to say with technology. It can bridge the gap. It is an instrument for change. That is what I'm using for healing. That is what I'm using for counseling. It is the only instrument that I'm using for counseling. I use the computer as well. I bring groups and I use single one or two people at a time. That is what I'm doing to help self-actualization with others.
Beautiful.
I love that. I do. That's such an interesting parallel to draw, a cellular phone and your cellular structure and the way that those things all work together,
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that, there's a interacting with that cell phone, depending on what energy you're coming from, whether it's a conscious, a purposeful energy, or just like you're saying, the mindless energy, that does have an effect on what
Exactly.
actualizes in your experience.
Exactly that.
Can I ask then, obviously, as technologists, talking on the topic of technology, you know, AI is a big topic in the technology sphere that can be very controversial, right? It's evolving very quickly in real time, and regulations kind of can't be made quick enough to catch up with what it's doing. And people have a lot of fear around AI, right? And I know that, that release of fear is one of the things that you focus on. Do you do you have any sense of I guess maybe the best way forward for us as humanity to lean into this new technology from a place of love and from a place of divine flow and seeing the good things that can come from it and learning to utilize it and work with it in a way that is a conscious, healthy way. That's not just mindless. That's not just because it's there, right? Even though that's a fun way to play as humans, we like to play and experiment. But
Mm-hmm.
can you speak a little bit to that element of fear that's sort of embedded in this like idea of a new, changing, shifting technology?
I like to close my eyes because AI is artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence is also a component of pure intelligence when it's flowing with truth, with graciousness, when it's allowing us to access intelligence. Even composing a letter, composing many, many things now. We can compose a book. But sometimes artificial intelligence is triggering many things that are trying to take over pure intelligence. And when I'm flowing with pure intelligence, this is what pure intelligence means. It is connecting with the divine. Pure intelligence means connecting with the divine without the need for gadgets. But there is also important elemental nature that can help. Artificial intelligence can trigger many, many things that is helping us to actualize many, many, many areas of our lives. But it should not be the supposition that it should be used for climate change, especially because that is not a pattern that is helping. There are many patterns in the universe that is causing destructive things to happen because of the way AI is used. When we are having virtual reality of floodings and hurricanes and earthquakes, virtual reality is what is causing destructive patterns. That is AI. AI should not be used to show in a virtual way destructive patterns. And that is the subtraction. That is what causes fear with AI. AI is being used in movies and everything that is being used to create AI. Destructive patterns are there, and it is hampering the integrity of what Mother Earth holds.
Mm.
That's really interesting to me because this is kind of something that I've spoken about when it comes to AI with other folks on my podcast and things like that. The idea that as an intelligence or of its own, right? AI is a bit like a child in the sense that however you nurture that child is how that child is going to learn as it grows. So if humanity teaches AI, like you're saying, to lean towards those destructive energies and create things that look like old human paradigms of war, of violence, of
Mhm.
destruction, of pollution, well, those are the things that AI will learn, and that is how you misuse it. Like I think maybe this is maybe the conversation we need to have. What is
And when
misuse of
millions of
AI?
people are looking at when millions of people are looking at a polluted world that is devoid of trees, when millions and millions of people are looking at movies like that, it's an attraction factor because the
Hmm.
mind, the electrical field, the magnetism of Mother Earth is attracting the wrong kind of things to the mind. The mind is
Hmm.
very, very precious. We should not be focusing on things that are destructive. That is the wrongness of AI.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so maybe that's a little bit bigger of a conversation than to have or to flow into the idea that, it's not about AI or technology, really. It's about where humanity directs its collective attention, and that's where our collective energy and thus our collective actualization flows. So if you are allowing
Exactly,
yourself to
exactly,
flow,
Haley.
mhm,
Exactly. You're flowing in a way that you're going to be self actualized very quickly if you continue to lean into those questions that you're asking. Those are the guiding questions that your own inner intelligence is projecting. It is triggered by what we're doing here. AI is one
Mhm.
of the things that we should subtract ourselves from, especially artificial intelligence that is projecting destruction of humanity, destruction of the human race. Many, many movies, too many are being made, projecting
Mhm.
destruction of the human race. That should
Mhm.
be stopped.
Mhm.
well, and this
Well,
is why, oh, sorry, go ahead, Glenda.
well, in the old times, and now I'm dating myself. My professors used to say, when we would write out computer programs, it's garbage in, garbage out. So
Hmm.
if you fed AI as a structure as a child, um,
As
negative
a mind
things,
matrix.
right? Exactly, negative things. So it will
Hmm.
continue to say negative things and or do negative.
Exactly. It's going to project negativity.
Right,
It's
right.
projecting fear. A lot of the things that are being projected in the extraterrestrial and those things, a lot of those things are very
Right.
negative and very,
Yes.
very fearful. They're creating things about extraterrestrial that are not true. They are
Right.
creating the wrong image of what
Mhm.
enlightenment means. They are projecting a lot of fear. They are causing people to live in fear and worry and harbor
Mhm.
greed and destructive patterns when the
Mhm.
abundance of the universe is flowing to us always, always, always. We're always flowing with goodness. We just need to tap into the goodness that is there and refrain from connecting with the things that cause prejudice, the things that cause a racial
Mhm.
disunity, the things that cause greed and destructive patterns, the things that cause perverted sexualism. Those things are perverted sexuality, is what I want to say. Those things are what are causing destructive patterns in our lives.
Mhm. Mhm. I
And,
agree.
that's again, that's sort of when you're talking about, creating a matrix, like you're saying, garbage in, garbage out, it's the same as your mind, right? So, like, whether you're doing it with AI in a manual sort of computer setting, or you're doing the meditative getting with yourself in your own mind and your own
Mhm.
programming, it's the same thing that whatever it is that you write it to, that's the light's going to bounce around in all of those cells and then
Yes,
actualize whatever that
remember,
was.
we are each a representation. We are each a microcosm, the exactitude, what a microcosm of what the universe is. So when that is happening, it is taking away from our life force. When we continue to engage in things like that, it takes away from our life force. So that is why when we are enlightened, it allows us to flow with ease and grace. It allows us to heal our bodies and help others to actualize so that they're also healing as well.
Mhm. It's pretty much like Reiki, where I'm just the conduit, getting the energy, sending it to the person, and the person has to decide whether they accept it or not. And
Mhm.
and that is their job. So
Hmm.
it's something that they have to take care of. Although I am the provider of the tool for them to heal, they have to accept it. They have to do their own work. And it's the same way. Their reality then will become different because what if they accept the good divine healing energy, which is Reiki, they will
Mhm.
then be able to heal themselves with this tool.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
It's a little bit like, in my mind, I'm kind of imagining sort of, being plugged in, or which water flow do you want to plug into? Like, you can plug yourself into, like you're saying, garbage. You can plug yourself into the dark clouds.
Right.
You can plug yourself into that polluted water and that polluted
Mm-hmm.
river and that version of Earth that has all of those densities and all those things that we're trying to release. Or you can plug yourself into that goodness, and you can plug yourself into that clean river flow, and you can plug yourself into the ideas of what's possible with the technologies we have available
Exactly,
instead of the,
Right.
exactly, Haley.
Yes.
Exactly. You're saying it intelligently.
Mm-hmm.
so maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that. When you're leaning into those possibilities of your inner goodness, you know, where is that taking you in your mind that might help others who are looking, because we are very trained as humans by our cultures of, and certainly by our media to focus and plug into the bad things. Unplug from those things, right? But is one thing to do. But when you're in that inner goodness, what are the things that come to your mind that might help others find that frequency?
When I'm plugged into the intelligence of what is flowing to me, it is causing me to reflect on things that were not done correctly sometimes. But mostly what I'm doing now is clearing collective consciousness, clearing those that are connected to me, especially those that are close to me that did not live very well. so that we can together can heal. It is healing collective consciousness. So others that didn't live well the way I didn't function well can correct. We can together we can correct those pathways so that we create new pathways of wisdom, of integrity, so that we allow ourselves to create beautiful spaces where we can live, where we can grow, where we can expand together. It is us. It is not me. It is always us. It is me and you and you and you. So it is always us, not about me and what I am doing, but projecting myself to help others, to ease suffering, to ease sadness, to create beautiful, 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 beautiful things, to actualize myself, to live in sacred abundance, to live simple and humble, but to allow myself to actualize gracefully. That is what I think about. Gracefully, gracefully, gracefully actualizing.
Oof,
I
there's
love
just
it. I'm so very excited that we have been able to have these conversations with you
yes.
because you really can feel that flow of energy that you
Mm-hmm.
have and that you're channeling. And so I really do hope everyone tuning in, whether you're live or whether you see it later, really take the pause to really tune in and listen and feel that energy that you're channeling. I
Thank you
think
very
that.
much. I appreciate it.
That's why I keep saying wow, because I'm feeling those waves. It's just
Mhm.
so peaceful,
And
loving.
speaking of waves, maybe that's what we want to kind of wrap up on. Can we talk a little bit more about water and tuning into it? Because I know this was a conversation we were having, and it's one of my favorite things. I love tuning
Yes.
into the energy of the water on the planet. But talk to us a little bit about that, the oceans on the planet and the value of tuning into, again, the possibilities that there are in the cleanest, healthiest oceans we can have instead of focusing on all the things that we're doing that are not creating that reality.
Excellent, 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 Haley. So our bodies, as we are flowing with ease and grace, it is mainly composed of water. So the water in this world is also the oceans in particular. They're rivers, but they're the oceans that are flowing. It is flowing for us to accelerate our enlightenment. The saline content of the water, the salt with the water, that is what is helping the oxygen to become purified. That is what is cleansing the oxygen. We cannot live with water that does not have saline content. When there are ridiculous things like microplastic particles that are taking over the spaces in the ocean, it is reducing what is saline, the salt content of the water. It is subtracting from the ocean. It is taking away the integrity of the water in the ocean. It is calcifying the things that are needed in the ocean. The whales are what we need. We need the sound vibration of the whales to be there in the ocean so that that echo can resonate with Mother Earth. We need the dolphins. We need everything in the ocean to flow. We need the turtles. The turtles are very integral in what the ocean life is. The flora and fauna in the ocean, they're being destroyed because of the microplastic particles, because of the fishing that is being done. The fishing especially is taking away a lot of the life from the ocean. We should refrain, if we can, eat as less fish as we can. There are a lot of mercury now in the fish, and this can cause cancer. This is causing a lot of toxins in the body.
Yes.
So our
Yes.
oceans should be treasured. Our oceans should be treasured. We should visit as often as we can. Just give grace to the water that is there. It is holding space for us. Without the ocean, there is no life. Without the ocean, there is no life. There's planet Earth cannot exist as a life force without our oceans. Our waters are sacred. Our waters are very, very sacred.
Mm-hmm. I, Haley
That's
and I both agree
I know
that
we're both so
we're like
tuned into that
water.
water energy. We're water bugs and we love it. And I
Yeah.
do, again, water is such a beautiful conductor of
Yes.
energy of all kinds. And tuning into
Exactly
water,
that. Water is
Yeah.
a beautiful conductor of
Mm-hmm.
energy. The magnetism of Mother Earth cannot be contained in itself without the water in the ocean. Do you see how
Right.
powerful the waves are? Do you
Yes.
know how powerful the water in the ocean is? It is
Mm-hmm.
traversing in space and time, connecting with what we see as the moon, The moon is a reflection of the earth. The sunlight that is there is reflecting in the sky. So there are many ridiculous things that are being said what the moon is. The moon, it is composing of a lot of things, but density is there as it's reflecting, because the magnetism of the pull of the earth is what is holding that light together. The softness of the light of the moon can heal us naturally, but we have to lean into our own inner goodness. We have to see the moon as something that is there that can help us to heal, not something that we want to travel to. It is not a space to travel to. It is a space, it is a light that is soft. The softness of the light of the moon is that the feminine divine energy is connected to that. In a very intricate way, we should treasure what the moonlight means to the feminine divine. It is reflected in the oceans, it is reflected in the tides, it is pure intelligence. We should not subtract ourselves from what the ocean, what the moon, and what the earth and what the sun represent. These are polarities in the universe, but we must respect them. We must respect the density as well as what is there as purity. Purity and density, it is all intelligence, but one cannot exist without the other. There must be dark and there must be light, but it must be soft darkness. The darkness can be soft and exist. There are polarities, and that is how we exist. That is how we have a body. That is how there is physicality manifested. But it must be with integrity. We must try as best as possible to live a life of integrity, to be genuine, to be genuinely leaning into our inner goodness in a soft way, in a humble way, in a graceful way, in a gracious way. Gratefulness is what we must be conscious of all the time. Being thankful is the highest vibration to hold. The more we're thankful for each breath, for every single thing that we have, thankfulness is what takes us to our inner goodness. Thankfulness, thankfulness, thankfulness. So I am very gracious. I'm very thankful. I am particularly gracious that I can connect with this group and know that what I speak of will resonate with millions of others eventually. Those who are called by my own voice, by the wisdom that flows through me, are guided to listen, listen, and then listen again. Do not judge what you see, but listen. Just take time to listen. Listen keenly sometimes. Listen softly. It is inner goodness. It is my own guiding light. It is a portal. It is, it is, it is.
That's so beautiful. I love it. I'm so glad that we got to hang out here with you,
Yes.
Caroline. The energy, the wisdom, and the just beautiful divine feminine that you are exuding. I
Mhm.
love it so much. This conversation
Thank
has
you.
just been such a breath of fresh air and like a nice
I
little
would love
swim
to
in
do
the
this again.
ocean.
I would love to do this again. I have so much
Of
wisdom to share.
course. Of
Oh,
course,
you,
we will
we
have
would,
to. Yes.
yes,
Definitely.
let's have you back. Come and hang out on my, like, let's all just have more of this.
Yes.
We
Exactly.
gotta get more of your
Exactly.
energy
And
out there.
point me in the direction, please, of others who are waiting to listen to people like me. There are many YouTube channels, but I'm yet to appear on any. So
Well, you're
many
appearing
who are
on one
already
now.
flowing.
You're,
Pardon?
yeah, you're on all kinds of them
You're
right
doing
now.
that now.
And Glenda and I are going to have you back for more because it's
Yes.
just such great energy. And I do believe a lot of people are looking for it. But
Uh,
do also go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say, tell
I
us where
do.
everyone
I
should come
am.
find you.
I am very grateful that I listened to myself because when I saw you on LinkedIn, I saw your profile and I said, "Oh wait, there it is," and and we connected. So I am very grateful
I'm
you
very gracious to
accepted.
you, Linda. I'm very, very gracious. I'm very gracious to you, Haleigh. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I do not
And
take this for granted at all. I treasure the work you're doing. Keep up the good work. Keep on
oh,
reaching out to people like me who need a voice, who need the voice heard. That is what we need. We need our
mhm,
voices heard so that millions who are triggered, millions and millions of lives can be saved. many, many more can be actualized. When we have many
Mhm.
more actualized people, Mother Earth will continue to resonate with
Mhm.
abundance of goodness, with glorious sunshine, with beautiful green, with flowing waters, with flowers, with birds, with plants.
Yes, yes,
with
that
all
is
the
for
beauty that we came here as humans to experience, the things that we're
Exactly,
so
exactly,
excited to be here on this beautiful blue pearl
sure.
to enjoy.
exactly.
And that's such a beautiful note right now to just be grateful for everything. Say thank you to everything that's around us, whether we see it or not. And just know that by being here at this very moment, we are here for a mission to allow others to grow and to awaken and to hopefully get them to that point where they could be speaking their truth, their divine
Exactly that,
being.
exactly that. That is
And
exactly what we need. And to be live like this, many
mhm,
more should be tuning in. I don't know how many are here, but there are many, many that can see this afterwards. I would
yes,
definitely be sharing it on my Facebook and if possible on LinkedIn so that
yes.
others can see it and try to share it as much as possible to those that I connect with. I'm very gracious. I'm very, very gracious to you.
And
Thank you, thank you,
thank
thank you.
you. And with that, we like to say thank you, Caroline. Just hold on. Thank you, Haley, as always.
Thank you, thank you. Great to be here.
I know. It's great to be here too. No, I'm joking. We just want to say thank you and that we're grateful to all who tune in. If you tune in, please share this out. Please like the channels. Please subscribe to the channels. Share it out so others can also benefit from this. Like we tell everyone all the time, it's what we share. If it's good, it will continue producing goodness. And with that,
Exactly that. Exactly that. I'm
and with
sure
that,
that it is absolute, absolute goodness that we're sharing now. It is wisdom. It is
exactly.
truth. It is divine. And that is what we are. We are all divine.
Yes. Thank you and
Thank
many
you. Thank you very
blessings.
much. Thank you.
And we love you all. See you
Big
next
love,
week.
everyone. See you next
Bye.
week.